Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's the Mac and welcome back to another sneak peek or let's play of Panzer campaign's Kharkov 43 Wargame Design Studios. The next game to be covered here on the channel after Tunisia 43 there. Right, so Kharkov 43. Well, what to say about this game? Very interesting, and it's kind of fitting to do this right after the Tunisia game, actually. They sort of link up in certain regards. Completely different fronts. One is in North Africa, one is on the Eastern Front. But it's something about the state of the German, how the war is going for Germany at the moment, at this time in World War II there. So quite a lot of interesting scenarios in this, and some pretty huge scenarios and campaigns as well, and slightly confusing designer notes, I must say. But good, but it really, you really need to sit down and read them in thoroughly to really grasp what the hell is going on, what kind of versions of the scenarios are what. So Kharkov 43 there, yeah. So it centers around the third battle of Kharkov there, and another strange thing to actually cover this game, and I was doing research and sitting with it, is that it's sort of scary in the sense that we actually have the war going on there in Ukraine now. The Russian are the aggressors invading Ukraine, and it was sort of weird that this after, what is it, 79 years ago or something, we're having the battles in the same locations as in 1943 there, which is just crazy. Weird stuff, man. Same like what you're seeing in the news today, and all the like names of towns and places and areas. Those names will pop up in some of these scenarios here, where the Germans and the Russians were duking it out there in 1943. So it's kind of weird, but still, this is a piece of history. So, but just weird that war is actually going on now, and people are dying there, and it's just horrific conditions and just crazy stuff going on there. Anyways, get back to the game here. So this is so the third battle of Kharkov there, and it was sort of the last real victory for the German army as well on the Eastern Front, because this one, the Kharkov 43 battle, sort of interlinks with Kursk 43, the summer of 43 there, when the Germans tried to capture Kursk and destroy. And that operation was a huge failure for the Germans there, but this operation that preceded it was actually a huge success. So that's kind of interesting there. Yeah. So where to look first? There's quite a lot of documentation. I've actually prepared some of the documentations that are actually the most important ones in the game directory there. So there is different grand campaigns in this game, and they have actually separate documentation covering them, and how to calculate victory levels and stuff. So it's quite to read. So this is Kharkov 43 grand campaign. So it says, including the first patch of Kharkov 43, there was a grand campaign that included all starting forces and reinforcements for 6 weeks from February 2nd to March 18. So they have the victory. What I've interpreted of reading these documents is that there was like a feedback from the community that sort of generally the original campaigns were sort of slanted in Germans' favor. It was really hard to pull off some of the historical, or in some cases impossible to do what the Russians actually did, because the Germans were so powerful. I mean, depicted in the game there. So they have made different variations of it and changed sort of victory levels and stuff. So there's this tells you how it works, and sort of it has a sort of a system that calculates what actual locations you're controlling, and that is sort of depicted in victory points and depending how good you're doing, I guess. So if you want to play them, you really need to read these documentations, and I guess that they're probably best played versus human opponents since they're pretty big. Then they have something called Kharkov 43 Variant 1 release. So this is after 18 months of play. 18 months of play. Experienced players are finding the campaigns are weighted too heavily towards the Germans in the initial phase. Yes, this is what I was just talking about. So this is preventing the Soviets from having a chance to attain their historical achievements, particularly in the south of the map. The German armor is in positions to immediately counterattack the Soviets and never allow them to close with their objective. Yeah, we're going to go into that later on, more detail, the actual operations there. So they have these are the scenarios that they cover in this the variant 1, and so they have some changes here for those, and then they have a variant 2. And this is from a guy called Cesar Indraginir Libran Moreno, and it goes in. It's been 10 years since Panzer Campaign's Kharkov 43 was released. It's actually more than that, but I mean, this documentation is. This was David Freer's first game design for John Tiller Software, and was definitely a learning experience. After 10 years, both the game system and the research resources have substantially improved. Cesar Indraginir Libran Moreno has designed a number of new campaigns that have been released as part of the recent gold updates. Cesar has mentioned that he wants to redo the Kharkov 43 full campaign, as he felt that it could be made to play more historically and encompass a lot of the new research that he had done. With that in mind, we are releasing the second variant of the campaign. Scenario name 02028S Kharkov 43 Campaign Variant 2. You will find all the design changes, research notes, and other information, including the page that follows. Okay, so quite the extensive. There is lots of documentation of this. So I guess it's. I mean, I haven't actually checked it. Let's check it out here in the game here. So 02028S. Okay, so it must be these here. Yeah, well, look at that. 449 turns. All right. Well, that's going to take a long time to play. So it goes on from this February 2nd to March 18 there. Yeah, so location is Kharkov, Ukraine there. So, yeah, it says, please read the Kharkov campaign notes. Yeah, so there's different versions here. Okay. Let's see, Grand Campaign, right, and then you have Variant 1, so it's an updated version of the original campaign with the focus on toning down the Germans, particularly the first 2 weeks of the campaign, so it should now be able to mount a serious challenge. Okay, and so that's the Variant 2 then, I guess. Yeah, this was really confusing, actually. They should only have one really revised and final sort of scenario, that not like all these. It's just too confusing. But I mean, I get it, of course. You got to have it. I mean, if these are people who have spent hours and months and years planning and doing these scenarios and done tons of research, so of course they should be given credit to have them here. But it's in a gamer standpoint, it's kind of, because when you're going to set up a game, you're going to have to do all the, instead of just, oh yeah, we're going to do the full campaign, let's go, boom, it's all done. But you're going to have to find, okay, so that's one is, you have to think about that, you have to think about this, okay, that's, okay. It gets confusing, for me at least. Some people don't, but I would have just preferred it to be maybe 1 or 2 maximum differences, and then they could chunk it up, because that's what they said in one of the descriptions as well. This one is this one's from the 30th of January to the 3rd of February there, and that's the Operation Star, and then you have Gallop, and that's the 2nd to the 19th of February, and then you have, okay, there's a different variant there, okay. Yeah, so, yeah, you get it, you understand it. But it's all in the game. It's very well documented. I mean, I guess you're just gonna have to sit down and read it and stuff, you know, and plan and decide which one you're gonna do with your opponent. So yeah, lots of documentation here on that. Also tells you a bit, you know, sort of to make it realistic, I guess, and historically accurate, you know. Which is good. I like that. Oh, look at all this. It's it's massive. But wow, look at the research, man. You got to give it credit. It's incredible there. Right. So that was and this is Kharkov. Oh yeah. So then there is the scoring sheet, I guess, for victory points and stuff. So that's included as well, and I guess that's interlinked with one of these variants. So. Yeah, values of these points there, and sort of you got to calculate how this is basically just a scoring sheet, how it works and stuff. So notes, yeah, the notes is really good. The designer notes and history document. This is really good in this game. Very well written, very well researched, and it's really I like these. Some of the titles have these designer notes, and they're really great. For some of the titles, when it's sort of a fluent document, you read it, and as it go along, I mean, obviously the first part here is history. So sort of they've decided to sort of split this title into three major, like the Soviet offensive, the Star and Gallop operations. This was when they, after Stalingrad was lost, basically, they did the initial assaults there, and they have, so we're going to go into that, the Manstein's backhand blow. This is the counterattack of the Germans, started the 20th to the 5th there, and then the actual Germans, they actually retook Kharkov. That would be, they retook it there, yeah. It would technically be the 4th Battle of Kharkov, actually. And then, because the Russians actually took it there, the 3rd battle took it, and then the Germans took it back, and then subsequently the Germans lost it again. So, I mean, that city must have been in pretty bad shape. Right, so they're going about the map here that they have used. It's sort of a amalgamation of the Kharkov 42 map, all right? So that's cool. They have these huge things you can look at, and you can actually fire them up in the game here. These map viewers, massive maps here. This is with the winter graphics, and this is with the summer. So let's do summer, and you can have a look at that. It's massive. So this is not actually a fighting map. I mean scenario. This is just the main master map. You can zoom out. It's huge, man. It's massive. Look at this. Look at the size of this thing, man. So you got Kharkov here, probably. Yeah, so there's Kharkov. Yeah, they're gonna have the whole. There's a button to actually make that stick. I always keep forgetting which one it is. Alt. Yeah, I keep forgetting it. Anyways, right. So this is the main map. You have Slovyansk, Kramatorsk. This is where the modern day battles are going on. It's kind of crazy to look at this. Then there's Nink, Gorlovka. So it goes down there. You would have, let's see, is it on the map? Yeah, Belgrade is there. And just north here, you will find Kursk. You have Porovka, Yakarevko. This is where the bulge of those forces were. We'll be actually up here somewhere, the Kursk fighting and stuff. Yeah, so really good stuff in this. We can have a look at the winter map as well. No, yes. So it's basically the same thing, but it's white. But really good. I mean, look at this. So cool, this map, man. It's massive. Plan your moves, you know. Good stuff. So let's go. Yeah, let's go back to the thing here. Yeah. So then you go into one about the map. They have the order of battles to talk about what the state of the Russian units were, the Germans, and there's lots of stuff here, man. Features of the Panzer campaign's Kharkov order of battle here. They go into more details, parameter data, movements. Thing about movement, it was pretty bad weather at the time. It was frozen, it was snowy, it was muddy, so kinds of really tough environment to fight in. So it's all about that. Program weather. And they have even some more designer notes. So it's kind of cool because it's sort of a fluent battle. These operations. So units moving over vast areas and fighting and stuff. So it's not so much just defending lines and bunkers and being hammered on. It's very like an offensive and a counteroffensive, and then you defend an objective, you get pushed out, you get to fight back and stuff. This was kind of the fighting was going on here. It was pretty fluent battles. And in 43, there at the beginning, there's some very interesting tanks and weapons being used. So you have the Tigers. You have the Panzer IVs with the long barrel 75. You have the German Panzer IIIs with the long 60 millimeters. You have masses of T-34s. Of course, you got KV tanks. You got lots of interesting units at this time. Right, so it goes on here, and here it starts talking about. So here it goes. Kharkov 43, the history and scenarios and prelude. So this is great. This chapter here starts at page 12. It goes on. Tells you about the prelude to these operations, what happened, and here is the Soviet Star and Gallop operations there. That was the end of January, so they started to push, and it was like 200 kilometers, man. Pretty big distances being covered here, and then it goes in here. So it's initial Soviet assaults, January 30th to February 19th, and these scenarios here. So this is what I like about this document here, because it tells you the story, and then it sort of links the scenarios that has to do with what you're reading at the moment. So it goes on like this for all the scenarios, which is just great, because then you can sort of follow the historical flow of the battle and the game. I mean, this is what I really like. If you guys remember back in the day, they didn't have this, but this is from the recent big updates that did the 4.0. That was released from Wargame Design Studios. They did all these revisions of the games. It's just really great, because you get a deeper feel for the game. And if you don't know your history, if you're a bit rusty and you need to read up on certain things, you basically don't need to, because it's all here. I mean, it sort of gives you the rough outline of what's going on and stuff. So pretty cool. I like it. And goes on. I think even this document you can probably download for free from the website there if you go in and look at the game on the web page there, so you can have a read on it. Goes on here to so Hitler went and met Manstein there. Manstein basically saved the whole German southern front there from total annihilation. So it was the mastermind of Manstein that saved the day. And let's see, where do we go into? Das Reich, Lieberstandarte was used. Yeah, I wonder if there's like a good map to look at, like a planning map, like a bigger one. Oh, look at this, man. It just goes on. It's so cool. So much content in this game, actually. There's a lot of scenarios in this game. So if we go back to the files here, you have them all, the operations here, Kupiansk, First Guard Army there. Some are actually not that huge. I mean, you can play them. I mean, they're breaking down pretty good. These are obviously insane to play. Fall of Belgorod there, the fall of Kharkov, and goes on. This is where the sort of Russian steam was running out, and then you have Manstein's backhand blow and death of the mobile group Popov there. Yeah, so they surrounded and destroyed a lot of Russians in this operation here. And then the recapture of Kharkov. I mean, yeah, it's really, really good. So, I mean, we can have a look at the map here. I'm just taking Google Maps because this is basically a modern day map to look at what actually happened here. So here you have, this is actually Stalingrad. It's called Volgograd today. And what happened was in 43, I mean the end of 42, the Germans were at the high mark of their advance. And we all know about the Battle of Stalingrad, what happened there. They got churned into a meat grinder. It was just total annihilation here, man. It was just one of the most stupid strategic decisions ever to do that. I mean, look at that. I mean, Moscow was up here, and what the hell were they doing down there? The thing was that, so the Germans had even captured this Crim island here, and they were all the way down here. I mean, they were really down. They wanted to capture the oil fields and the rich minerals and the deposits, the fertile grounds here for the Third Reich there. And what they didn't anticipate was the bloodbath at Stalingrad. And when then in the winter, first of all, they gravely miscalculated the Russians there. They thought the Russians didn't have any reserves and they were on the brink of destruction. But actually, they had mass reserves and had built up new armies and everything. And they sort of smashed through the weakly defended flanks. It was the Italians and the Hungarians and some German units that were defending the flanks, because all the forces went into Stalingrad, and they didn't think about having the strong flanks, because they probably didn't think they would need them, because they thought the Russians were sort of beaten. And when they almost had captured Stalingrad, I mean, they were there was only like a thin little line of defense left. The Russians held, and they were almost at the Volga, the Germans. That's when they kick-started that massive operation, and they sort of smashed through, encircled Stalingrad. Germans tried to send a relief force. That Manstein tried to save it, but it didn't happen. And the Russians took control of all this, and it was like a disaster. And the thing was that if the Russians had advanced all the way into Rostov and captured that, then this whole area with the German army would have been encircled and caught, and they would have nowhere to escape, basically, and they would have been destroyed. So Manstein wanted to pull his forces back, create some new defensive lines here. They decided to keep some of this area here, and they actually left a bridgehead here as well, the Germans, because they thought that if we leave a bridgehead here, when this whole Russian offensive is over, we'll just recapture this again. That was the idea. And yeah, Hitler, he flew there because he knew about the seriousness of the situation. He met Manstein, and apparently the Russians were getting so close to the place where Hitler was that he had to sort of hastily pack up and get back into safety, because the Russians were threatening to overrun many positions here. But once Hitler left, Manstein took charge, and he sort of said, I'm going to do it my way and not listen to Hitler, because he was a lousy strategist. And so what they did, what this thing is about Manstein's backhand blow, was that let's see. So there's Kharkov there. Yeah, there's Kharkiv there. So what they did, there's Izium. The Russians captured that, and they were on their way down. They were pretty far here, and the Germans still held an area here. He counterattacked, and there was 3 SS regiments, divisions arriving. The Lieberstandarte, Das Reich, and I can't remember the third one now. Anyways, there was 3 of them, and they were sort of newly formed, and they were actually beginning meant to be relief forced and smash through and rescue the 6th Army that was caught in Stalingrad. But they arrived too late. They weren't there until the end of January, and then that battle was basically over. I mean, the Germans surrendered the 2nd of February there, and That's the mad thing. Hundreds of kilometers away from Stalingrad, the Russians were attacking and fighting German units, and they held out for so long there in Stalingrad without any supplies or anything. It was so bad. Anyways, so Kharkiv you have here, and the Germans actually attacked from the south and smashed in. It was called the backhand blow because they surprised the Russians there pretty badly, and punched through with fresh Panzer forces and elite units, and encircled a lot of the Russian units and destroyed them. And they had to hastily retreat. 3 armies or something was defeated here, and there was another 3 armies in the north, and they had Kharkiv there, and they weren't actually supposed to attack Kharkiv, but those SS divisions were so eager to attack, and they actually took a lot of casualties recapturing Kharkiv, because it was actually deemed as an operation that wasn't actually necessary. They could have just surrounded Kharkiv, and those divisions in there would have starved to death, but they attacked there, and it took some unnecessary casualties there, and that some historians claim that those casualties were actually pretty. They couldn't replace them for the Battle of Kursk later on, so it was sort of unnecessary casualties taken in Kharkiv, the recapture of the city there. Anyways, they went up to Belgorod, and that's sort of where Kharkov 43, the title, ends, and you have this great big bulge here, the Kursk. The Russians held this. And even Army Group Center actually held their ground and counterattacked a bit during all that was going on in the south. So this was planned out for the summer attack of Kursk. As we all know, failed miserably because it took too long to get going, and the Russians had prepared like many lines of defense and mines and ambushes and tank guns. They just put everything in there, and the Germans just sort of went in there and got destroyed, basically. So that was pretty fast summarization of what the hell what happened there. But basically, that is the story of Kharkov 43. So yeah, that's what's called the Manstein's backhand blow there, and the last sort of German successful operation of the Eastern Front there. And I think somewhere in the lines of over 200,000 Russians died in that operation, and something like over 1,000 tanks were destroyed from the Russians there. It's insane, but still, they mass produced, and they had. There was no end to it, and the churning of the infantry. So that's how it ended, basically. Great title, this, very interesting, as I said before, about the operations here. And they sort of have it all in here, all those battles and everything. So it's very good title. I haven't decided yet actually what to play. I'll pick something, probably something smallish, and duke it out so you guys can see some gameplay and stuff. But this is definitely a title worth getting here. And as I said before, it's interesting. It's just taking place somewhat in the same time as the disaster in North Africa there, the Tunisia campaign, when the huge forces of the Italians and the Germans surrendered to the Americans and the British forces down there, and at the same time they have this massive success in the north with that operation there. So very interesting, but you could. Definitely, the end of 1942 is the turning point for the Germans, and after that it just goes basically downhill, everything. So yeah, good title. This, get it if you have the chance. Very excited about there's a new release of Panzer campaigns on the. Let's just go to their website real fast here. That was the wrong one. Here. Yeah, so they have a new release, the Rumenetsev 43. That's going to be interesting. Hope I get a review copy of that. I'll put it up on the channel. And they also released a modern air power and a little big horn. So there's quite some stuff going on now at Wargame Design Studios here. Some new stuff coming in. And we're all excited about the... where is it? Support. The the new oh no, not the news. Sorry, the new upcoming update here. Yeah, the Panzer Campaigns 401 preview up. I mean the update there. Wow, it's going to be great. They're going to be changing the interface. We're going to get the gold bar now. We're going to get the what they did to the Civil War titles. It's going to be cool. I think they're going to have some graphic updates as well. And have the roaming mode. It's going to be interesting to play with. It's taking ages for to load these images. I don't know why. Yeah, so good updates here. Yeah, they're going to have the gameplay speeds can be altered now as well. Yeah, with these buttons here, that's going to be new. Under the hood, yeah, so they have the new file structure and folder structure as well for the games. They have leader graphics as well. It's going to be coming up. That's really cool. Bug fixes and documentations. So, yeah, good shit going down, man. It's going to be good to apply those upgrades to the titles there. Yeah, so, yeah, I think I'm going to end it here. I've been talking non-stop now for quite a while. But really good game. Hope you guys, I mean, this is interesting. If you don't have it, this is definitely a title worth picking up. And after you duke this title out, and the next subsequent title on the Eastern Front will be the Kursk to do that. So that would be cool as well. Yes, I want to thank you for watching there. I'm going to do some sort of let's play of this, and I will see you in the next one. Like and subscribe and stuff, and I'll see you in the next part. I mean, the next video, or whatever I'm posting. Have a good one, and see you later.